What's up, guys? Corbin Claypool here with another video on the mortgage and real estate industry. Today's video is going to be targeted on buying a home in the Central Valley area. Now, we can do pre-approvals in Texas, California, Florida, but we're going to focus on our local people here in the Central Valley and tell you what it takes to really buy a home. This video is for first-time home buyers, people who maybe feel overwhelmed in the process and just want to have a better understanding of what it actually takes to buy a home. And so we're gonna jump right into this. I promise you, it's super easy. It's not as complicated as you think. And we're gonna dial down in this video and keep this less than hopefully 10 minutes so you're not spending all day watching a YouTube video on how to buy a home. So the first step is this. When you are looking to buy a home, really the first step you wanna look at is getting pre-qualified or pre-approved with a lender. That would be somebody like us. We're gonna look at three things. We're gonna look at income, credit, and assets. Credit tells you if you qualify and what program you qualify for, and then the income and the assets tell you how much you qualify for. Assets, all we really look for is where is the down payment and closing costs coming from. And a lot of people get this confused because it can come from numerous different spots. It can come from a gift, it can come from 401k, it can come from savings, it can come from checkings, it can come from down payment assistance or grant programs that you may or may not qualify for. But getting that first pre-qualification and pre-approval is going to be the main step in getting pre-approved, or is going to be the main step in the home buying process. It's going to tell you what you qualify for and where you're at. Now, you may qualify for a lot more house than you want to buy, right? Because let's say you qualify for a $600,000 house and the payment's astronomical, and you say, hey, Corbin, I want my payment around $2,500, $2,600. That's why it's important to get pre-approved and pre-qualified up front so that when you are working with a realtor and you are shopping around, you have an idea of what everything costs. It's important that your lender walks you through the whole process, handholds you, and make sure that you clearly understand where you are at financially. Now, as a lender, we're not going to dive into what we look at and everything that we look at because it really doesn't matter too much to you. It's where you qualified and what is the lender qualifying you for and where's everything at. But in a nutshell, we're going to take your income. So if you are a W-2 employee, we're going to take your W-2s, we're going to look at your pay stubs, we're going to look at your bank statements, and then a driver's license. And that's it in a nutshell. Now, if your income is a little more complicated, like let's say your per diem or your commission or your anything like that, then we may have to order VOEs or we may have to get some more documentation for you to make sure that you're fully pre-approved. Okay, that is the difference between a pre-approval and a pre-qualification. A pre-approval is where you are fully pre-approved and dialed in, where everything's been reviewed. And a pre-qualification is basically just a rough idea of where you stand and where you are at. So in a nutshell, we're going to take all that income and we're going to look at your debt to income ratio. We're going to calculate everything, and then that's going to tell us how much you qualify for because different loan products tell you how much you qualify for. So for example, an FHA goes to a certain amount and a conventional goes to a certain amount. Now, they're more specific than this, but roughly it's about 50% of your gross income. If you're self-employed, it's a little bit different. If you're self-employed, we're going to need your last 2 years tax returns. We're going to need corporate returns. We're going to look at the net income. We're going to be able to add some things back in like depreciation because they're considered non-cash losses and things of that nature. But that's, again, us to worry about, and not for you to worry about. I think some of these videos I've seen on YouTube is way too much information. Like, you don't need all that information. You really just need to know the steps of how to get qualified, okay? Now you have your pre-approval, and that's your golden ticket. You're ready to start putting offers in on homes. You know what you qualify for. You know what your loan estimate is. You know where you're at financially, and you're ready to take that next step. And that's where we would partner you, or if you already have a realtor, maybe a family friend, or you know a realtor, or if you don't have one, we can refer you to many great agents that we work with. They're going to start showing you homes in that price range. Okay, they're going to start looking at homes. You're going to probably see homes after work or homes on the weekend. And this is where realtors put in the work, right? People don't give realtors enough credit. They work their butts off. They show homes when they could be with their family at nighttime, evenings, and things of that nature, right? Also, once you find a home, the realtor is going to be the one that's going to negotiate that for you, walk you through the process, and a good realtor is going to make sure that the home that you're buying is solid. A good realtor is going to know what to look for in a home, okay? And that's why it's important, because you don't want to get into a contract with a realtor that maybe is just trying to get a commission check or a salesman. We want to work with somebody that's actually looking out for you and looking out for your best interest. And if the home turns out to be a lemon and has a bunch of problems, hey, we're going to request repairs on that, and we're going to get these repairs, or maybe we're going to back out of the home, right? These are things that you want to take into account when you're buying a home. I'm an experienced investor. I buy a lot of property, and I can tell you firsthand that when you buy a lemon, it's going to have a lot of issues. You could have plumbing, you could have electrical, you could have ACs, you could have water heaters. So there's things that you want to look at to make sure that you are protected, which leads me to my next thing. You're in escrow buying a home now. You found the home, you put the offer in, the realtors negotiated that offer for you, and they've negotiated the terms with the seller for you. Okay, and so now you're in contract, and that's when you're going to do a home inspection on the property, a pest inspection. If it has a septic or a well, then you may want to consider doing a septic and a well inspection to kind of figure out what is going on with the property. What is the meat and potatoes of this property? Does it have issues? Does it have problems? Right? So this is kind of where the things that you need to pay attention to come up, sprout up. And this is where, a second stage negotiation could potentially happen. Right now, if there's multiple offers on this property, is really hot property, it's going to be hard to keep negotiating if you've already gotten down in price or, things of that nature, because there was multiple offers and the seller could back out and, go into another family or offer that's more willing to just take the home as is. So you're in contract with the lender. We do the appraisal on the property, which tells you the value and safety and health hazards. It's different than a home inspection. A home inspection is going to go in detail the property, look at all the nitty gritty. That's why it's important to get one, and pest and well and septic and all the other stuff. Appraisal is just going to tell the value of the property. It's going to look at comparable comps. It's going to see if there's any safety and health hazards. So an example of a safety and health hazard would be like an unfenced pool, or it could be like broken glass or something of that nature, like a broken window. Okay, so that's into the process. Now, you pass all of that, you're done. We take your loan through underwriting. At this time, we are following up, asking for items from you because the lender is going to request more documentation and items. And as we request more documentation and items from you, you're providing those, we're processing them, and then we're sending them back to the underwriter to clear to close your file. Once your file is cleared to close, then we're going to go to the doc stage, and that's when escrow is going to make sure all the numbers are correct, matching up with a contract. Lender's going to make sure everything's correct. They're going to communicate with escrow, and they're going to generate your things called final docs. Okay? And the final docs are the final documents that you're going to sign with a notary and put your fingerprint down, and that's going to be the one that's going to tie you into your mortgage. So, that being said, you just closed on your home, you get your keys. What's the next step from here? From there, your mortgage payment's going to kick in. And remember, when you close on a mortgage, you're going to skip the month you close in, you're going to skip the next month, and then your payment's going to be the following month after that. So for example, if we close June 15th, you're going to skip June's payment, you're going to skip July's, and then your first payment's going to be in August. Now, the difference here is this. You're not actually skipping payments, which is what many people sell on. The reality is the lender's taking the upfront interest. So depending on when you close, let's say you close June 15th, you're going to pay 15 days worth of interest that's left in the month, right? If there's 15 days left in the month. And then your interest is going to start accruing the next month. So you're always back paying your interest. Some quick tips for you is when you close on your home, make sure you're putting extra principal to your payment. Here's the thing, when you purchase a home, whether you have a 3% rate, a 2% rate, a 1% rate, or a 6% rate, the lender cheats, okay? The servicer cheats. They make sure that they're charging you all of the interest up front. So you're paying way more interest than the interest rate. That's why people get obsessed with interest rates and payments. It's like, it doesn't even matter because you're not gonna probably stay in the home for 30 years, okay? And two, you're almost gonna pay the same interest the first 5 to 6 years, whether you have a 4% rate or a 6, 8, 7, 5% rate. People don't realize that. So my recommendation to you is get into a home that you can comfortably afford so that you can put extra payments towards the principal. Because when you put extra payments towards the principal, you jump yourself down in the amortization schedule. Not only do you pay down the principal balance, but now that that principal balance is paid down, you're going to jump down into the amortization schedule. So even if you make a normal payment, you're going to pay more towards your principal because you're going to cut the amount of years down. So this is the video. Want to do a quick video for my Central Valley home buyers. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment down below, subscribe to us, share our content. We're trying to reach more people to help them get into a home, real estate investing, anything pretty much real estate related. And I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, and I'll catch you on the next one.